All right, it's 8:10, it's Las Vegas time. That's really 8 a.m. So if we're coming across okay on the sound, we're ready to go, gentlemen? All right, well, let's kick it off. It's the 10th annual SMB Nation Fall Conference. I thank you very much for attending. A few of you have attended since the very beginning, so if we could see a show of hands, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Man, we got a pretty good showing. Thank you, Kevin. Got a good showing of people who've been there since the very first one. We're going to have a little bit of fun and do a countdown with the history that we've had, and then we'll get into the good stuff. So for those of you that I have not met, my name is Harry Brailsford, and I am the CEO or chairman founder of SMB Nation, and we appreciate your business. So enough said. Here's kind of the bookends. For whatever reason, automobiles have kind of become our de facto theme. The bookends, a couple of you remember the original SBS Mobile in Indianapolis at the first year. And that was really cool. HP, our original sponsor, along with Microsoft, we had two sponsors that year. And HP, along with Microsoft, stuffed the van with goodness. And we took kitchen racks and welded them in, and we painted, and we were in a garage, and on a Saturday, that was our party, by the way. That was the party on Saturday night, was to build the SBS Mobile. And I'll talk a little bit more about what we did with it in a moment. And now we've gone all the way up to a time machine DeLorean that you see in the lobby. We have Jennifer, the actress from the movie, here all weekend, so she can pose for photos later today, late afternoon during the Expo Hall time. She'll pose for photos with you, but you probably remember Jennifer. She was Michael J. Fox's girlfriend at the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, so that's really cool. Of course, a huge thank you for attending our show. We couldn't do it without you, and I still, had a conversation last night. An all too common conversation, is community dead? And absolutely not. I think community's changing. It's certainly changing from the old Novell NetWare C&E monthly user group meetings with 300 people. That's changing, but community is very much alive. We're just using other venues and forums to build community and have the conversations. So I appreciate you attending both in person and otherwise. Of course, the sponsors, many sponsors to list right through there in the trade show hall. So really appreciate you taking some time the next 2 days to integrate with the sponsors. I've always felt the community is a stool. So we have the sponsors as one of the legs on the stool. We have yourself. We have SMB Nation and other groups that form the third leg and kind of hopefully bring it together. The speakers, great lineup of speakers this year. So we brought in subject matter experts on both the technical side and the business side. What you'll see is we're technical top heavy. I'd really encourage you to study the guide carefully, the online guide or the web page. And carefully look at the schedule, but we're literally and mathematically 2/3 technical, 1/3 business, and the 1/3 that's business relates and correlates directly to the Pocket MBA program that I'll talk about in a moment. And then we couldn't do it without our staff. Jennifer Hallmark, are you in the room, or is she just out working hard again? I think she's out working hard again. She really works. She's amazing. Edna Sparkman, Teresa Perry, Chris Bangs, Regina Ciardello. Over here, there's Chris. Tom Poole, Heather Childers, who's back home running the company right now and listening, and then Joseph Walker and many more that I know I'm forgetting. And then finally, our families and your families. I just wanted to give a quick update. Several of you have asked how my wife is doing from her recent accident with cycling, and she's 5 weeks into recovery. Here's the deal. So she's an avid cyclist. We literally hit a bump in the road. The speed bump on Labor Day is quite an injury for those of you that aren't aware, but a concussion, fractured skull, and a contusion. So she was airlifted by helicopter to Harborview Medical Center. And she was never in danger. It's always a precaution, and it's always a recovery period. 1 week after being in Harborview, a couple weeks in bed at home. She's in her 5th week. And here's the bottom line for those of you that are curious. Because she's very athletic and fit, it's kind of like type A personalities, if you saw my Facebook post. Type A people have more heart attacks, okay? Type A people, by their very personality, have more heart attacks, but they recover much quicker because they're type A. And so you could kind of say the same with my wife being fit. A fit person will recover much faster than a sedentary person from an accident. And so we're seeing that leverage kick in. She's doing great. And don't know if we'll get approval for downhill skiing this year. The doctors they're a little iffy on the downhill skiing, but I did want to give you that update because a few of you have asked. So thank you for your thoughts over the past few weeks over that. With that said, let's do a little countdown. So we have the 2011 event. We're going to count down all the way back. By the way, the 2012 event that's now started, we're already forming our own storytelling and history and culture. Last night, I've heard from someone I won't name, I've heard last night there was an incident, an incident of Europeans swimming in a pool, and I'm going to get back to why that's critical, because we had another incident of Europeans swimming in a pool a few years ago. So we've already had an incident, and we're forming our history. Now, my source was not involved. He's merely reporting the facts. 2011, excited audience to learn about SBS 2011. We had the ASCII Cup party. We introduced our youth initiative. And the idea was, guys, we all gotta recreate the channel. Okay, so the channel is graying and aging and so on. So we've reached out to Geek Squad and ITT Tech. You'll see a couple of students here this time. We never want to have an overwhelming number of students at a professional white-collar technology conference. I understand that. But we also want to have a certain injection into our economic model, quite frankly, an injection into the supply curve of new entrants and immigrants and natural births and so on. Now we have Regina, who recently had her son Henry. Thank you for helping us with the natural births, okay? But I have to now use immigration. I have to use immigration to grow the channel. So we'll look forward to Henry being a channel partner in about, 19 years. Gave away a Harley Davidson. 2010, we started our shift towards more technical content based on what you were talking about. We were down at the Flamingo, and you might remember the long hallways. I'll just leave it at that. 2009, we're at the Riviera. Did anybody watch the morning news? Anyone like me, and you turn on the morning news, the local news? The Riviera had a fire this morning. It was blocked. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if we were back at the Riv right now with a power outage and a fire? Not a big fire, a minor fire, but is kind of funny. Windows 7, very popular. Healthcare IT stole the show. And we started with the cloud message, and it was part of the early part of the cloud hype curve. We discovered many of you are what I would call on CNN angry voters, and no offense, but you didn't like that. You didn't like the all-in message. Let me tell you, I think everybody's adjusted that back to hybrid, and I think there's more maturity in the messaging and acceptance. But oh boy, 2009, you were not all in for the cloud, let me tell you. 2008, arguably, a lot of us feel it was in many ways I want to say the best year. That's always, every Olympics is supposed to be the best Olympics ever. So, I got to kind of watch that because, of course, this is the best year. But 2008 was just very interesting in Seattle because it was aligned with the SBS 2008 launch. And we had a good time, and then we also begged you, please do not check MarketWatch or CNBC today. Please do not look at the stock markets during the keynote and the sessions because it's not good. And that was the day the Dow fell 600 points 2 weeks after the Lehman failure. It was brutal. Microsoft Response Point stole the show and then went away shortly thereafter. 2007, a gentleman I'll bring up in just a couple minutes to chat it up, Alex Rogers, won an Expatec franchise. And I'll let him tell his story quickly in just a few minutes, how he's gone on to do some pretty cool things in the channel. We had the on-site SBSC testing. Sir John, I remember that we either met you right in the zone with that. You were pretty excited. We had it 06, 07, and I remember you were pretty excited about taking the exam cram from Beatrice and then the on-site testing right there. 2006, Arlen Sorensen wins SBSer of the Year. Allegedly, Arnie Bellini bet over $40,000 on the top of that Redmond Marriott during a poker game with LPI, allegedly. My lawyers would make me say that. We donated the van to the military technology charity. And here's that incident. Here's that incident, if you remember Rima, the Russian. Now what's funny is, everybody knows of the incident, and then all the gentlemen quickly say, I wasn't there. But they somehow have courtroom transcript recall of the specific incident at 2 a.m. So for not being there, a lot of men knew a lot of the details, and that was legendary. 2005, we're counting down, we moved to the Microsoft campus. Robin Robbins gave her first speech in one of her early speeches in the community, Bob Hood, and Jeff Middleton, Jeff, raise your hand. Jeff Middleton launched his, and there he is. He's not only raising his hand, but in the photo, he is launching the SBS Migration Kit. A legend was born. Jeff, people came up to the stage and gave you money. Jeff will be speaking a little bit later this weekend. Thank you, Jeff. 2004, we had the reggae party out at the one and only time I hosted a party at my house of that magnitude. There was a neighborhood council meeting after that. There we go, the 4-day event with the speed dating. 2003, we're all the way back. It literally was 1 van, 2 credit cards, and 3 kegs of beer. I mean, that is literally the truth. Flew in 2 days early, put it all together, couple runs to Radio Shack, and there we were. It was grassroots. It was really cool. 100 people in attendance for that one, and we donated the van to Geek Squad that you see in the photo over there. And then what's really cool is it was held just before the SBS 2003 launch at WPC, which is, again, highly regarded as one of the best WPCs ever. Duran Duran played. A lot of the original SBS team either left Microsoft or moved on to other capacities after that event. So it was a real milestone in the SBS story in 2003. With that said, Alex, trot on up here. I want to kind of weave you into the fabric of a couple of things that we're doing. No problem. So Alex, this is a little bit of a compressed time frame. You and I are going to have a longer chat tomorrow at breakfast, so forgive me today. Okay. But introduce yourself. You're an SMB 150, widely regarded thought leader, Mr. DISC assessment dude. But let's talk about kind of your ascension in the community from coming to SMB Nation. You won the franchise, and you've leveraged that and your skill set very nicely. So, sir, what is your story?
Wow, okay. Well, let's see. I think it was at the Microsoft campus. Mm-hmm. So when he had these at the Microsoft campus, they had an Expatec franchise booth over there, and they were giving away this franchise for a computer store. This was like in 2007. So it was kind of cool. I went to one of the breakouts, and they gave it away, and I won it, and it was awesome. It was like a $50,000 deal. But I already had an MSP. I already had a technology company. I mean, I have one. What am I going to do with 2, right? A whole nother set of challenges and issues and everything else. So we started talking, and the one unique thing that I had done in my MSP was really, really capitalize on giving my clients hardware blended in with their managed services, which is called HOS, right? Well, Expatec loved it, and they're like, you know what? The franchise thing isn't a fit for you. So I ended up reselling it to somebody else in our city, and that was cool. But what happened is I rolled out this HOS offering to all these Expatec franchises. And it went really good. And we were delivering them workstations and servers and UTMs, and later on we went on to do BDRs and so forth. But that was the start of something really, really cool on teaching other technology companies how to deliver managed services, okay? Because at first we were just providing hardware, private labeled hardware to them. But then the challenges of marketing and selling and supporting all came into play. So in order for them to sell our stuff, which they weren't doing, they loved it, but they couldn't sell it, we had to teach them. Next thing you know, we're 5 years later, we now have a new corporation called Chartec that just specializes in training MSPs. But it started out at SMB Nation in 2007 or 2000. I think it's 2007 is what it was. Right. So we are now the largest MSP training facility in the nation, and we still blend it with our MSP. So that's, in a nutshell, that's it.
Absolutely. Well, have a seat, because I'm going to come back to you. But what I'd highlight with Alex is he's he just seems to be in the right place at the right time. And I mean it this way, that you weave yourself into the community in a cooperative fashion. There was an announcement just this week from Robin Robbins, and you're part of that storyline, and you've been part of the other community groups, and so I appreciate that, because what I think we're all here for is to find ways to, quite frankly, we have more in common than pulls us apart. Now, that's an old political science philosophy, but you kind of have to do a look in the mirror every now and then to make sure that we're still a community that helps each other and reaches out, versus, quite frankly, competes against each other like more what I call the secular industrial sectors.
Right, absolutely. And you know, it was really funny. When I went to that SMB Nation in '07, it was the first time I really got outside my box, and I didn't realize the power in sharing information and giving successes and secrets and so forth to other MSPs. And it was probably been the most rewarding thing I have ever done, ever, in my entire 22 years of owning a technology company, was actually taking what I learned, failures or successes, and sharing them with other MSPs across the nation.
That's right. That's right.
It was an awesome feeling. And look at this. I didn't even know you had this.
Oh. Yeah. Got that off Facebook, Alex.
Yeah, the only reason I started my company was so I could fish.
He's a fisherman. Thank you, Alex. All right, so if we could have our two recipients of the SBSer of the Year Award, and Josh, if you come up, and also known as the Jim Locke Memorial Award. Actually, let me just borrow that back for a second, and we're going to go ahead and make our awards and receive a few comments from the recipients this year. This is an annual tradition. This is a little different than our SMB 150 contest, very different. The SMB 150 contest is a popular vote, and this is more of a couple of organizations coming together and making what we feel is a good decision on people who maybe don't get the same level of publicity as some other thought leaders, but are doing the kind of the good work behind the scenes. So, Josh, why don't you make a few comments, sir, and we'll give away the awards. Come on over here, folks.
Okay, so the SMBTN started with Jim Locke. Actually, he was the founder, and he was one of the first SBS user groups. So many of you knew him and were engaged with him in the community. And that's still what we identify with. We really identify with the user groups. We're trying to bring partnering, education, programs that help us. And really, it's that collaboration and community that we're all talking about. That's really what this is about. So this year we have, the Jim Locke Award. He would be very proud that these two people represent that community and really help build that. So.
Absolutely. A couple of comments quickly, and we'll do the old photo shoot. So, Rayanne, talk to us.
I want to just
you have to hold up a little closer. Thank you.
I want to thank SMBTN and SMB Nation for this really special honor. Sometimes we just work and we do our things behind the scenes. We don't really do it for the recognition, but it's really nice when somebody appreciates what we've done. And I know that Bob does so much for the community. So tell him what you do.
Well, for those of you who know me well, you know that I'm a man that is very seldom without something to say. And I hate to disappoint you, but this ain't one of those times. That moment came when Harry called me and told me about this, and I was completely taken aback and surprised. So I want to thank most sincerely SMB
Absolutely.
Nation and SMBTN. I'm truly humbled to receive this. And I happened to say to Harry when he told me why I was selected, did you happen to know what my latest project was? And I told him, and he said, I have to tell you. So I will be brief, sort of. A number of months ago, as a user group leader, I was looking for ways to find good content on a consistent basis for our meetings. And in brainstorming, I thought about my membership in CompTIA and some of the incredible resources that CompTIA has. So I called my dear friend Nancy Hammervick, who is the Senior Vice President for Industry Relationships, and I broached the subject of whether or not we might find a way to tap into some of the wonderful CompTIA resources for our user groups internationally. And she liked the idea, so she put me into contact with Kirk Smallwood, who is their Vice President of Strategic Relationships. And initially, I just wanted to see if there was a way where maybe we could get a little content from CompTIA every month to share, maybe put it up on our website. That conversation developed into something much larger. And so what we decided to do was a study for a 3-month period with 3 user groups, a small group being my group in Sacramento, a medium-sized group being the one known as Bass Bits in the Bay Area, and a large group known as SMBTN in Orange County. And the idea was that our members would have full, complete CompTIA membership access for a 3-month period, and they would be directed each month to look at some specific areas and then provide feedback to CompTIA as to the value and the usefulness of those resources. And we've just completed that 3-month study, and I'm very pleased to announce that CompTIA has agreed to provide that same opportunity to every other user group that's out there in our community. So if you are a user group leader and you're here and you're interested in that, either look me up or look for Kirk Smallwood. Kirk, are you in the room this morning?
Well, just look for you.
Okay, just look for me. If you're a user group member and you like the idea of being able to tap into CompTIA for 3 months and see what it's all about, talk to your user group leader, and we'll make arrangements for you to be part of that study as well. So again, thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. Rayanne, let's make sure we got the, I do that. I do that every year. So why don't we, Josh, come on over here. Let's get a couple of pictures. And these are the SBSers of the Year in the Jim Locke Memorial Award. Yep. Ah, there we go. Hey, and quickly, just a shout out to recognize, unfortunately, the passing of a leading MVP. We had him on the cover of the magazine a couple of months ago, but find a moment of silence for the passing of Eric Neal, one of fellow SBS author, MVP with Small Business Server. We lost Eric in a battle recently, and I believe his wife, I believe she's here this weekend. Is Ann here? Okay, all right. Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, moving on quickly. If we could have the Pocket MBA students come up for a quick photo. I got to watch my time a little bit, but we have Pocket MBA students. We have the inaugural class starting today. If you could come on up, the ones that are present bright and early this morning. Your name is listed. In fact, you all have received a scholarship, by the way, to the Pocket MBA program. That's a new program we have. If you're an SBSer of the Year or Jim Locke Memorial Award winner, you in fact receive a scholarship to our program. So, and I appreciate it because I think it adds to the diversity and the richness of the program. Come on up, and Josh, thank you very much. And why don't we stand over this way, guys, and get a quick picture. Have to do a couple rows. And I'm also introducing today a new cloud major that will be posted next to, yeah, come on up, sir, come on up. Yep, tall guys in the back, us short guys. There we go, us short guys. But I need someone to kind of hide. I like to hide.
Sneaking there.
Ladies and gentlemen, the charter cohort of the Pocket MBA as we know it. And we'll see you guys in class. Thank you very much. Okay, one more. All right, one more from Drew. Thank you, Drew. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Alex, I'll ask you a question about education in just a minute. We are announcing a new cloud major today. They'll be up on the site later this week with Ken Thorson and Keith Lubner from Redmond Channel Partner Magazine. So we're starting to introduce more majors into our system. Right now we have the MSP major. It's 6 classes over 12 weeks. Stop by the booth and chat it up a little bit later today. I want to bring in Jeremiah. Our charity of the year is Jeremiah, who works for SMB Nation as a salesperson. And let's see, Jeremiah, come off mute. Jeremiah, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. So Jeremiah's coming into us from his home in Tampa, Florida. Jeremiah, you've been very forthright in your battle with cancer. And I appreciate what you've done for SMB Nation, both full-time and part-time. We're going to lose you for a couple of months on medical leave. Why don't you tell the audience what's going on and how can they pitch in and help, Jeremiah?
All right, so basically kind of what's gone on is for years now I've had called aplastic vision, which is a pretty rare disease. And it's come time that my body's finally gotten to the point where I have to take care of it somehow. And that process involved getting
Absolutely, Jeremiah. Well, our goal in this campaign is to raise $20,000 for you. So we made a great start last night at the VIP party. I'll be talking to our sponsors and our attendees over the course of the next few days, Jeremiah. We have a handout for them. And so you're the charity of the year, so this is an ongoing campaign. Hopefully we'll dramatically exceed our goals, but I appreciate you being able to kind of chat it up with you. I know you really wanted to be here, and the doctor advised that wasn't advisable for you to join us, so you're joining us on Skype. And I'll keep everybody posted on your progress, and Jeremiah will check in with you a couple times this weekend. A lot of people know you as the biz dev guy and the counselor for the Pocket MBA program. And I just want you to know that your job is safe and it's waiting for you when you get back. So, your medical leave, take the time you need, get well, and then come back and join us just as quick as you can. And we'll, be in touch. Thank you very much, Jeremiah. Okay, bye-bye. Question? Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I'll make brief mention, and I'll get you the link to the YouTube video briefly. Jeremiah grew up in Ohio, and I think I have the story straight, but I'll get you the links and the information on the morning newspaper. Regina, if you can make a note of that for tomorrow's Gazette, if we could do that. But there's a YouTube video where Jeremiah was filmed at 11 years old with his lemonade stand, and sadly, he grew up next to a Superfund site in Ohio. And so that's clearly it's impacted him, the air, the water, the soil, this and that. And so this has been a lifelong battle. Jeremiah is 30 years old, so he's fighting a big battle way before his time. And like I say, I'm glad he found the donor. The 1010 donor was statistically, that's hard to do. But Jeremiah was an MSP in Ohio, grew to a 7-figure income. His health got the better of him. He moved to Florida to convalesce, and then we were fortunate enough to offer him a job at SMB Nation. First a full-time job, and then when his energy dictated a part-time job, we accommodated him there over in the Pocket MBA program, and we'll accommodate his needs yet again when he's ready to return to work. But Jeff, that's the basic story. If I'm missing any of the building blocks. That's right. Every small business owner can probably relate to this. When you have a malcontent rogue employee, his business was in fact lost to just such a person who, if I understand the story straight, took access to the data center and poured. Yeah. You know what? If you wouldn't mind, shoot me an email and we'll maybe weave a quote into tomorrow's Gazette to bring that story home. Okay, thank you, Jeff. And again, I'll be mentioning this throughout the weekend. Quickly, we do got to watch our time, and I do want to talk to Alex and Bob Goggard if you want to start queuing up. But I do want Alex to put a wrapper around all the topics we're surfacing. Today we're announcing we're teaming with Redmond Channel Partner next year for the SMB Nation show. So we're headed in a new direction with our shows. Our friends over at Redmond Channel Partner, fantastic magazine if you follow Scott Becker and some of the others. Next year's show will be SMB Nation Fall 2013. And I need to call it the M and S show because, well, I guess in Vegas I could say it the other way, and it would have a whole different connotation. So we'll call it the M and S show next year. But Redmond Channel brings the M demographic. We feel we do a pretty good job of bringing the S demographic. This just hit the wires at 6 a.m. today. We're looking at it as a flight to quality strategy that's very common in recessions. You see it all the time with real estate. When you renewed your lease in the recession, did you find you could get a better space, Class A, for lower than you were paying your Class B? That's called flight to quality. And so we're implementing it as more as what I call a ladder straddle strategy. We want to give you a pathway to grow. And so we're strategically teaming with Redmond Channel Partner Magazine, 1105 Media, to do that. And I'd like the Pocket MBA students in particular to take this as a learning that strategic growth has an appropriate place versus organic growth. We've had organic growth over the last 10 years. The next 10 years, we'll be looking for more strategic growth. We'll talk about that in the Pocket MBA program. So thank you again. And so Alex, I want to come back to you. You've been very kind and patient, by the way. Thank you. I had a lot of housework. But Alex, we talked about, I want to put a wrapper on this because you participate in a couple of these different venues. So you're an SMB 150 thought leader, well recognized in the community. You have a commitment to education and an educational program, and we'll talk more about all that stuff tomorrow morning at breakfast. You're also keen on having your partners grow into the M space. So, sir, the fastest 2 minutes in sports, if you could put a wrapper around education, growth, all that's good, and being a thought leader, and we'll pick it up at breakfast.
Okay. Well, all right. Let's see, 2 minutes, huh? So, you know, and I ask this question all the time, and I'm going to look to you guys as far as what to think about education. All of us as business owners, CEOs, presidents, managers, what have you, what do you think the number one reason is we are scared to educate our staff? Why are we scared to spend money, time on somebody new coming into our company or our current employees? Go ahead and speak it. What is it? Would you guys agree? You're spending money. You're teaching them your business. You're teaching them your secrets. You're teaching them all the products they need to know. Right? And the chance of them walking out the door, working for your competitor, or worse, starting up their own deal. Anybody ever had that happen? Raise your hand. In Bakersfield, probably every other computer company that is in Bakersfield worked for me at one time. There's like 20 copies of my proposals, 20 copies of my agreements, everything. So yeah, it's kind of scary, right? But I want to leave you with this. What if we're not spending the money? What if we're not educating? We're not teaching them everything they need to know. And these same people decide to stay. What's worse? Right? So what I found in the last, and really, you know, I've been in business for 22 years, and I just realized this 5 years ago, all right, is when you're educating your people, all the way from the not just your technicians getting your certs and so forth and so on, okay, but educating your accounting department, educating your project managers, educating your techs, your salespeople, your admin staff, everybody. You educate people and spend time and money on them for them to do their job at a level that not only are you satisfied with, but they're happy with, you'll find they don't want to leave. And you have educated people again, and you're helping them build your ultimate goal. You're helping them help you achieve your ultimate goal, which is the main reason we got into business. It wasn't to work 18 hours a day, right? It was to get to that self-running business, you know, where you can actually take off for a little bit. The vacation's not the cheapest part of the whole deal. So think about education. Think about the budgets that you can set aside for educating your people. It will make all the difference in the world in the grooming and the growing
Absolutely.
of your current business.
All right. Well, Alex, we're going to pick it up. In fact, would you join me during my Pocket MBA speech at 11 today? Could we have you? I have a slide where you're Mr. Disc, and I could use your input.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll see you in a couple hours. Thank
Okay,
you, Alex.
thank you.
All righty.
Thanks, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start to transition over. If you need to kind of do a morning stand-up and sit-down stretch, but we'll go right into Bob Goggert's speech in just a couple of minutes. Bob Goggert is an industry thought leader, well known as one of the founders of Autotask. And now represents more of a broader community conversation with Channelize. So we'll have him talk a little bit about that. But and sir, are you still the chairman of CompTIA?
I am.
Well, there you go.
I'm proudly the chairman of CompTIA.
Excellent. Do you need to
and
get wired up for sound,
No,
sir?
they say I need to take your
Ah!
lavalier.
Okay, I'm going offline, folks. By the way, thank you very much again for attending our 10th annual conference. My staff appreciates it. Our sponsors appreciate it. Just a couple minute transition and we'll jump right into the good stuff of Back to the Future.